Breakdowns.
Welcome back to the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. I am actually really excited, not only for the person that's here today, but we're on episode 99. 99, right before that 100 mark. But today we have the creator of Breakdown Central. We have Yates. What's going on, bud?
What's going on, man? You doing good?
Good. I once again I appreciate you making a drive out here. It's a little bit of a drive. You said it's not too bad, but
Oh, it's like 2 hours. It's not too bad.
That's still
Not
2
too bad.
hours, man.
I know. But I'm telling you, man, I've been looking forward to this. I've been super stoked. I will make whatever drive it takes.
Which we first got to know each other at the Sorrow Eater show, but you had posted something about it, and I remember getting that notification. I'm like, wait, who is this?
Yeah.
And then like started going through like your page, and I'm like, dude, like you are working like all the time. So
Very consistent.
Yeah. So you have a channel, obviously, but you run everything off of every social media platform.
Yes.
But you do a lot of reactions. But your range of bands is crazy. Yeah.
Yes.
So first of all, like let me know how like this started.
All in all, I've just had a major affection with music, passion for music. Literally, it's... I saw other content creators doing the reaction game as far back as like 2018, 2019 and stuff. And I really got into Hardcore King. Got very enthralled in his videos, and I saw some other ones. I can't think of them on the top of my head. But I did watch his, and there was actually... So there was... I had a buddy of mine. We were gonna do like a dual type reaction video and stuff. But something came up, something happened, didn't work out or whatever. And it was probably a good like year and a half later. I kept thinking about it and everything, and I was like, okay. Do I want to do this? Yes, no. Do I know how to do it? Do I know how to edit? Do I know how to, do I have the equipment? That kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with my phone. When I figured out that I could do it on my phone, I was like, F it, dude. I can do it.
Yeah.
If no one, work with me or whatever, I can do it myself. Yeah. So that's what I did is I did it myself, and I started not the best videos in the world. I've watched some of my old videos, and it was very cringe in my opinion. I bet some people were like, this is the funniest guy on YouTube. This is so awesome. This is so funny. But whenever I was, throughout time, finding bands, networking, doing all that sort of stuff, I was like, okay, and getting familiar with the camera. I mean, just my phone, but still, like, it was all eyes are on me, even though that no one's watching while I'm recording, but still, it's kind of like, you got to get used to it. And so I started to get used to it. And so it was about 3 years ago. So it was October of 2020.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't one of those types of deals where I was doing it because there was nothing to do at home, because I obviously had a full-time job. But again, doing the reactions are just, it builds the anticipation. I see a release next couple weeks, couple days, couple hours, whatever. And I'm like, we got to get it on the channel. I like having that. And just simply, you're just listening to music.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, it is. Let's see. Going back to what you were talking about. First of all, you do everything on your phone. Yeah. So we were talking about that literally right before this, and the idea of that first initial thought where like I don't know if I have what I need to do this, or you see like the ones that you're looking online and seeing like oh well they have this, they have that. Like I need to have that. I used to be very like that where I'm like I need to have all the equipment to get something started first. And I bring up the story quite a bit, but initially what got me into creating more of like the stuff that I was doing was an idea for just starting a vlog. And
stuff. Yeah.
And I was gonna start. I was like gonna buy a camera, but then I recognized my like actions, and I'm like, this is what I always do. I buy everything, and then I end up not using it, or I buy something way more expensive that I don't know what to do with. So I was looking at my phone, and I'm like, this was like back in. This is actually in 2020, like at the beginning of the year. It was that January, I think. Okay. I was like, gotcha. You know what? My phone, I just had upgraded my phone. I'm like, I should be able to do it with this. If I don't do it with this, then I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I went and I did I was doing one every week, and I did like a month and a half worth of stuff. And I'm like, all right, it's super fun. I can see the benefit in me getting a camera, and I just so happened to do it. So I'm like, so now I'll move up to something. But even that, figuring out, I still was trying to ask people and tell them again, this story pops up a lot, but Zaylin from Dispositions, I asked him, and I'm like, what camera? I was like, what camera are you using? I need to get that. And he was like, you need to just look up to see what you need. And he was right. Like, I ended up doing my own research, falling in love with oh, these are the features that I need. This is what I can do. And building it from there, letting it build in a natural way without forcing it. So anytime I get something new, it's because I do need it now because I've been doing it. Not just because I'm trying to spoil myself. I'm like, oh, I just need new stuff. You know, I like the idea of running stuff with the bare minimum that you need to go. And it's, again, if you need more, upgrade as you go.
You feel like it's more successful when you get it done or get it edited or whatever, because you're just the bare minimum, it just that nitty gritty of things, I guess, where it's obviously higher stuff, having all that, technology and camera and equipment's really, really nice. But at the same time, obviously, I feel like, you just got to have, just got to deal with what you have.
Yeah.
And then once you get it edited or posted or get the content going, it's so, I don't know, it's so exhilarating and so satisfying to me.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially what you're saying, about going back and seeing old videos, and I'm just as much as I look at them, damn, that. It's not. I'm I look at today, and I'm I got here, because of that, because I put that out. And that was my thing when I did the vlog, when I did the podcast. I'm I don't care what it looks like. I go, it's going to get done and it's going to get put out. I go, because if I just hold on to it and try to perfect it or try to get it to where, oh, it's releasable, I go, I know myself and I'll never put it out. You
will sit there and overthink it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You'll sit there and overthink it and you're like, fuck. It's just, you know what I'm saying? And then, but I don't know. For me, I feel like all my reactions, especially now, I think all my reactions are really, really good. But I've noticed my better, genuine reactions that I have are ones that I don't put much thought into it. I just press record. I just do that, and I just feel like it's just, I'm in heat of the moment. I've been thinking about the song all day, and then once I record it, I click, done. I'm done recording it. I'm like, all right, it's saved. I'll edit it here in a little bit next day or whatever. And so, but
that's the thing with reactions, because I did try it. We tried it as a noise rod thing where me and Bernice were we'll do it, we'll watch some stuff and we'll react to it. It shouldn't be too hard, but there is a skill to it, but in a way that you need to put yourself in a relaxed form where you take in whatever content, and it's got to be a genuine reaction. Otherwise, I don't know, because I saw it and I saw some of the ones I did. I'm I don't think I'm very tense in this part, because I'm either not saying what I want to say or I'm trying to figure out a cool way to say something instead of just let it happen. Because that's why I started it, because I got addicted to watching reactions of of all sorts, and I'm just on all types of genres. I'm I really because to me, there's nothing when I really like a song, and I'll go look and I was oh, what do other people? And then seeing someone be just as excited for a song that I like, I'm that's really awesome. But even having the opposite opinions and stuff like that, even when someone doesn't agree, it still inspires a discourse for me. Would be oh, okay, well, this person doesn't like it because of whatever, But if it's genuine to them, then that's what's interesting. That's what feels real and makes you want to keep watching it.
I'm telling you, man, I will say, and obviously you said that you've looked at my page and stuff. I'm literally addicted to it.
Yeah.
I love doing that stuff, because again, I really truthfully think it's just one of those types of deals where when I always put myself into their shoes, the artist's shoes, and when you physically see someone, being a complete idiot of themselves, or just genuinely listen to the music, or just seeing them get stoked for their release. You put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
It's, who wouldn't get excited about that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and also for like an artist to see somebody, again, when normally in like cases like you don't know them personally, so if someone's reacting to your song or your video or whatever,
this guy's getting like super excited about this. Is so cool.
It's a way for an artist to see that in real time of like, which they don't ever see, because at the concerts when they get to see it.
Yeah.
But like other than that, like if they just release a song, like, oh, like what are people thinking about it? You get like people maybe commenting or stuff, but being able to see someone's facial expression just change and make like what the famous like stank faces and stuff, like, oh yeah,
like, dude, for sure.
That's like or anything, or even like people get up and dance like during or pausing and be like, wait, hold on, what happened?
Yeah.
Rewinding and be like, oh, let me like, what's happening here? Like sing it again.
I really just listened to that something specific riff breakdown.
And I know that specifically because I had when I was in a band, a metalcore band back in a few years back, and we had I can't remember. I think he goes by Truant, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Okay.
Reacted to like one of our music videos. Out of nowhere, like I was just like, I forgot what day it was. It's actually like a very terrible day for me. And then like I was having like a bad day. And then I get that notification and I'm just like, cool, what? And I see it and it was great. You know what I mean? He loved it. And I'm like, this made me feel like absolutely like amazing.
And
you know
plus,
what I mean?
Another thing is you never know what people are going through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they could be having the worst day, a shitty day, and then they see something like, who's this guy? And then they'll click on it and they're like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. Like this guy is really enjoying, and especially, you know, I've always been involved in music somehow in the scene and everything. And obviously this is a good, you know, thing to have, you know, helping artists and everything. Cause all I want to do is help them, you know, achieve any goals or successes that they want. Obviously that's the reason why I do these. And I'm just literally just listening to music because I've been a fan of music my entire life. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't like, I mean, especially specifically breakdowns are nice. I like that. But I mean, not just all, like, you know, clean singing riffs, you know, any sort of weirdness that you hear. I mean, I can go on a whole list of artists or any, and then, but when I hear like them playing their music, or I see their grind, or I see they're playing these shows and everything, and they're doing guitar playthroughs. I know that's a very popular thing and stuff, you know, obviously on Reels and everything. But when I see that, I'm like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. I love that, you know? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm the source where I can listen to it. I can, you know, hear what they're playing, enjoy it. I give my review on it. I mean, it's awesome. I love it.
How do you, this is one of the big things when like I really was thinking about doing more reactions, which we're thinking about different things that we can branch out to right now. But one of the things that I always find it hard is stuff releasing and you not being able to hear it right away because you're waiting to like react to it. Do you ever like run into like an issue like that where you like can't get to the camera really quick?
Yeah. So with something like that, with artists, usually I kind of built a rapport with them. I kind of text back and forth, mainly Instagram. That's where I'm most active and everything. But what I'll do is I'll talk to someone, I give them my credentials and everything, and then a lot of times I get to know them, and then they'll send something unlisted like, hey, bro, we're releasing the song next week. I know we want you to... They put, you know, their trust into me, and that means a bunch when artists do that.
Yeah.
Now, there's sometimes, spur of the moment, I kind of like... I have a very good memory when it comes to release dates and times and dates and stuff like that. So a lot of times if it's something... Okay, prime example. What is today? 25th, 28th.
Yeah.
Is the new Slaughter to Prevail song coming out.
Okay.
Bro, I got to get on that.
Yeah.
Everyone and their mother in the reaction community is going to be reacting to that. So it's one of those types of deal to jump on that and listen to, you know, Alex do his thing. You know, creating demons out of his...
So it's more of like planning. It's like, oh, I know I'm going to plan and have to like...
It's a process.
Wait for
planning and scheduling, because again, like... For the past 2 weeks, I've had my entire February scheduled of everyday artist or whatever. Because there's will be some days I'll post 2 videos. And that's kind of a lot because obviously I have other things in my life. But I take this channel and Breakdown Central extremely serious. Probably sometimes a little too serious. But I'm obsessed. I love doing it and just helping artists. I like doing that and seeing them see me do my thing and watch me just, you know, listen to it, my facial expressions and everything like that, and watch my mustache caterpillar kind of do its thing and stuff. So,
Yeah, that's really cool. Like how dedicated you are to it, and how like dedicated you are to communicating with like some of these artists and being like, hey, how do we get this done? Like this is in keeping it in the vein of like I'm trying to help like the artist, because that's something that I relate to really hard, because that's literally why this started and why it's kept going, because I'm like there's so many cool people around doing really cool things. Like I just want more people to know. Yes, absolutely. Like that's the key thing of why Noise Rat started to begin with, why we did like the festival. Like I go community. I was like just being able to hang out with people and listen to music, or you guys listen to some of the same music, or people get introduced to new like songs and stuff like that. That's why like the podcast is just like not limited to not one genre or anything. Like I was like, I'll talk to whoever. Like if it's good, like I'm gonna listen to it. Like I just want to, and I want more people to be able to get to know those people. And then like in your case, like you're someone like that's doing some like a similar thing, or you're just trying to like show off and showcase like way more and more artists. And you, like I said, your work ethic and dedication like comes through in like the amount of like stuff that I'm consistently seeing of you.
It's a lot. I mean, again, so obviously other than today, I didn't have anything scheduled for today. Usually on Sundays I kind of take a day off, but usually I'm pretty. I wouldn't say that I've posted every day for 3 years, because that's like insane to think that. But I'm gonna say probably between October of 2020, between that date or that month till now, I've probably missed maybe 3 or 4 days ever.
Wow.
Because again, it's just, I don't want it to do, because it's a whole algorithm. And again, it's a community and everything where like, I don't want it to be too much where it's like, okay, my videos are starting to blend together. If I do one like once every 6 hours, that's, I need to at least do 24 hours or, 32 hours or whatever. I like to do that so it's not so blended together, because there are times where I'm just like, okay, just chill out. I said, we're going to, figure something else out, or at least like I can get it edited. I can get it all like on my YouTube and everything, and then but I can schedule a post if I really want to. I can do that as well, and I've done that plenty of times for sure. Yeah,
so, figuring out a schedule like to work. That's the one thing I have my moments where I'm like, oh, I'm doing really well, and then like all of a sudden I'm not, and I'm just like, oh, I forgot.
Or it's like real life hits you with something. It could be whatever the case might be, and I totally understand. But again, what you guys do, I'm going to say this, what you guys do and going out to shows and supporting, I have nothing but respect for you guys.
It's fun, dude. Honestly, that's why we, do it. We've all been in bands or part of this scene for just like years. And we're like, how do we, that's what happened. Like once the pandemic happened and shows weren't happening, and then they were coming back, and then it was basically just like, why can't we do this? I go, and if we're going to do it, I go, how can we, what are the things that we wanted, like when we were in bands or when we were going to shows, like what kind of information, what kind of just like content, stuff like that. I'm like, when we were an artist, like I remember when I was playing in a band, I hated thinking about like, oh, like what else other than the music are we going to put out like with this? So that's why I'm like, oh, with this, like we'll make stuff for you. When we throw shows, we'll make little like promo videos and stuff like that. Go, here you go, share them. Like, you don't have to make anything.
Doing that and helping them, like, hey, getting other people else excited, like, hey, come out. Like, buy a shirt, do whatever, just come out and support. We're going to be here at this time doing like an interview, like, what we did at that show at Sorrow Eater and stuff. And like, that stuff's cool. You're getting more involved with the community. You're getting just your name out there. It's like, hey, we're Texas folks. We can do it too.
Yeah. Again, like there's nothing like being able to see like bands that are awesome play to full ass rooms that they deserve, and that's all we trying to do. Like, oh, you want to make sure the most people can see you because we believe in you. Like, obviously, like we think you're dope. How do we share that? How do we get more people to know that you're here? Because I remember when I was outside of like my own like personal local scene, like all my stuff was like people, internet or whoever's playing like the big bands, and I'm like, oh, well then come through the tour. That's like who's playing here. Or that's how the band. Like I never knew like the trajectory that a band had to take to get to like those levels. Oh yeah. And then I would start seeing like, wait, hold on, this band is from here and they're amazing. Like now I have like, it's so cool to say that some of my favorite bands are from here. And I'm like, that's amazing. I go, that's so sick. That
just goes to show how involved you are with the community and everything. Because again, obviously my dad's always had a saying like, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
There you go. Absolutely. That's so true. Because
so true.
It's very true because I mean, again, And back to what I was saying, put yourself in their shoes. You know, they're grinding, they're going to shows. I mean, again, I never personally did the tour life, but I played in a metal band in high school.
Yeah.
So I understand, you know, practicing, rehearsing, getting ready for like, you know, a Friday, Saturday show and everything like that. So there's a lot of work into it. There is, you know, so.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that people sometimes that are outside of that, of the scene or stuff that don't really understand what it takes to like. He's like, oh no, your friend's like, oh, you have a band, like you're playing a show, cool. Like, oh, you're just showing up and playing that show. It's like, no, getting ready, getting all your stuff that you needed for the show, planning. Mostly everybody is still working a job, so like figuring out how to get the time off. Like, I don't know how many times we had like either members or like other bands that we knew that were either getting straight off of work and showing up to the show, or like playing the set and going straight back to work or something like that. I had a friend like play one during, I think he took his lunch break and like,
are you serious?
Yeah, showed up, played the set, and like took back. Like, he was in his uniform, like
that's so,
and like took off back.
There was a video that went, you know how the stuff on internet, it gets trendy. You never know what, will blow up on there and everything. So there was one where it was a guy, like, he looked like he just got done with like his Best Buy, like he had like his Best Buy uniform and everything, and like he was like, looked like he was down in the basement with his band. And it was so funny because like you could tell he either just like got off of work, and like the caption was like, whenever you get off of work or something like that. It was really funny, but I'm like, I feel like that's very true, because you put yourself in their shoes again, and you're just like, okay, well, I think if you're passionate about what you do, as in music or playing in a band and stuff, you're going to do whatever it takes to get that hour and a half practice or that show or whatever, like you talked about, because again, lunch break, that's kind of insane to think about.
It was nuts. Yeah.
It's like, what?
I think he happened to work like sort of close, but he's like, I snuck out, and then I'm like on my lunch break, but he literally finished playing his set, and he's like, I gotta go, and I just like took right back up. So it's like, y'all pick up, like he told the rest of the band, like, y'all pick up my stuff, like,
oh
but
my gosh,
yeah, to unload it. But he just went.
I've never heard that before.
That was like, that was a while back that I remember hearing that, but and being there, seeing it, I'm like, I can't remember what band it was. I wish I could remember, but I remember that happened.
That's fucking cool.
But
dude.
yeah, again, there's bands work really hard for like what they
do, whatever it takes
to put out, to get it done. But so people helping spread them a little bit more, spread their music out more. Yeah, it's just so beneficial, and like they're gonna appreciate that one like 100%. But yeah, you've worked on your networking to now where you have your. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're busy. Like you're saying, you're working all the time.
Yes.
Since you started, was getting your schedule order, how long did that take before you felt like, okay, I got a grip on like how I'm posting?
I'll be honest with you, not very long ago. I will say, when you go as far as like me and my wife, we've had arguments. I'm not going to go that far, but I'm the kind of person where I'll see some artist, or I'll see somebody be like, hey, or somebody message me, like a bass player, guitar player, drummer, whatever, like, hey, we got a song coming out on this day. Would are you taking, the submissions, or whatever? And so in my mind, before I got a calendar, it sounds super, super old fashioned, because I was just doing everything on my phone, obviously, like editing and doing all my process and videos and YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. But I got an old fashioned calendar. And again, that's what I was saying is that I was having, again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I hate to do that, but I had so many artists hitting me up where I'm like, okay, let's take a step back.
Yeah.
Who was this band? And I'll look at this band, and I'll literally look at my DMs, or I'll look at somebody Facebook Messenger or an email or something. And I'm like, okay, this artist from this town releasing this song, and I would do that. And I'm like, okay. And so I would write it down just on my calendar, and I wouldn't pick a day yet. And just until probably around Christmas time, or maybe November, probably around the time where we went to that Sorrow Eater show. So it was probably like one of those types of deals where I went to, there's a place called Books A Million there in Abilene, and it's kind of like a Barnes and Nobles, kind of, because I think that's more familiar around the DFW scene and stuff. But I would literally go there, I'd find a calendar that I liked or whatever, and I just stuck it to kind of like my little like setup and stuff. And I would just, on certain days, like I would just be like, all right, I'm going to react to Joe Blow band this day, and then I'm going to go to, new whatever. And so getting my bearing straight with that, it took a while, because I was starting, I wouldn't say, you always hear that saying like getting burned out.
Yeah.
I'm not going that far, but it was like, you know, I'm like, okay, I have my full-time job. I have my housely duties. I have my wife, you know, so I was just trying to prioritize everything so it wasn't so bombarded. And then simply just getting a calendar and just kind of taking a step back, you know, of a band messaging or whatever, I would just schedule it on my, you know, calendar of breakdowns, you know. But anyway, so I would do that and that would help me. I mean, it's helped me tremendously again because, you know, with February, you know, and easing into March and everything, it takes a bit. I didn't think it was going to be as hard as it was, but it's kind of hard. I don't know. For me, it is. It is.
I think I relate to that because I am the same way. I need to have because I have like a digital calendar, then I got like a planner or something like on my phone.
You need
but
that
I am
stuff.
I'm very bad at like I'll grab my phone to look at my calendar and then like either an alert will pop up or like I'm just like, oh, and my brain just scatters and I like lose whatever I'm doing. But I got the same thing. Like I'll print out like month by month calendars just like off the internet and be like, all right, I need to I need to write it down and then I'll transfer it to here so it's in here.
Yes.
But writing it down, I don't know, works in my brain a little better to remember. It's like, oh, I remember writing that down. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but it helps.
You have to do that because I don't know, it gets, I mean, I'm sure with your work, it gets overwhelming. You're just like, fuck.
Because you know, and that's the thing, like, is that with us, like, I'll do where I'll get jumbled is like I'll get my podcast schedule like in order. I'm like, okay, well, I know what's coming. I know what needs to be posted when. I know what clips I have. Like content wise, I'm like, there's stuff like that just needs to be posted. Yeah. And then I realized like, oh wait, we have shows coming up. I need to create content for those bands. That's right. And then we're working on those, and I'm like, okay, I'll make those in one sitting. But and then I'll pop up and people will be like, well, you're busy. Because I'll be like, damn, I'm running behind on some stuff. And people are like, well, you're super busy. I was like, I know. But I do have time. It's just that I don't structure it well. And then it makes it seem like I don't have time for anything. But it's because I wait and not utilize the time that I have. But organization is the only way to go. And like, especially like, so I have to have days where like, okay, today's the editing day. This day's like posting and then clips go up like every day or whatever, you know. But I have to figure out a schedule of what I have, because otherwise I have like archives of like just clips that just haven't gone anywhere because I forgot to post them. You know?
I've noticed with some of your features that you've had on your podcast, you know, you'll post, you know, like a couple days after the actual like release of the podcast. And I'm like, oh, weren't they there just like a week ago? Man, he's still posting. Okay, all right.
Well, that's the thing. Like I realized that roughly from every podcast, you get about, I would say a minimum of 5 clips to like 10. Gotcha. So like I've had some podcasts that have like, I've gone to like 12 like different clips that I can use. But then I get to like, oh, how many times is it super frequent? Like, and then I can't get past the month part. Like once I get past the month, I don't know when to repost the other ones that are just there, you know. So I'll just remember sometimes like, wait, I do have like clips from like a podcast I did last year that never went up, you know, and that can be used like now, but it's figuring out that order of stuff. Normally what I like to do is like the podcast releases and then you get a clip of that podcast the next day. And then that day that the podcast released, you'll get a clip from the one that happened last week. Gotcha. So that, and then at the beginning of the week, you'll get a random one, like from somewhere else, like, and that doesn't matter. And then you'll normally get 2 clips of that podcast in that week, and maybe another one the following week. But I don't know, like, I also I want to keep it frequently. Luckily, like, because it's different guests, like, you can post in the same day, like, pretty close to each other, and it still gets part of the same audience, but then you also get like the people who are just looking for this person or this person, and it starts spreading. But I don't know whoever will figure out the algorithm, other than the only thing I can figure out about the algorithm is like the only thing that's going to help you is posting as much as you can. And
I think, and it's really funny because that is a thing with the algorithm, timing, posting, hourly, you know, whatever, because I know that's a thing. But in my mind, obviously, if you watch my shit, it's one of those types of deals where I post all the time. Yeah. I don't even care what time. Usually, I'd make it more beneficiary for me because with my personal job, I get up, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, man. Like, I'm up super early. My wife's got to be at work at 5. We're up, like, at 4 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and we roll in one vehicle, so I'll drop her off. I'll go to, like, my workstation because I drive all the time for my job. And so, but I'll already have a video already saved or whatever, or, like, I need to edit it. Takes me about an hour or so, and then because I'll just like kind of mooch off their Wi-Fi or whatever, and usually it's usually it's like around like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning
Wow.
for me when I'll post things. But once in a blue moon, what I'll do is that I will do stuff in the afternoon, which is very seldom that I'll do that. But if I do that, yeah. If you ever see a post of mine that's like 2 or 3 o'clock, you're like, hey, like what's going on? Because usually all my shit's in the morning.
In the morning.
Yes. It's always in the morning.
I've seen those, and I've found so many people where it's like, these are the times to post like now. And then there's even like.
It's a thing. It really is.
And then I followed a few of them, but then like I'll post. I did one day where I posted at every one of those suggested hours, and I did a different like clip for those, and I'm like, okay, none of them hit at those times. They all hit in the middle of the night. Like they all started just getting views. Like I woke up and I'm like, my phone was like notification. I'm like, what happened? I was like, what just happened with this?
So it's funny you say that because, and again, I know that majority of people that are going to go to shows are on Fridays and Saturdays and everything like that. But I've noticed more of my content blows up on at least Instagram and Facebook. I've been getting a lot of love and recognition on Facebook as well, but on Instagram mainly, like, throughout the week, either people are working or people are just not on their phones. Like in the middle of the day, I mean, it makes sense that people are not on their phone. But like on a Friday or Saturday, and especially like coming on like a day like today on Sunday, dude, I'll look at my phone, I'm like, what is going on?
Really?
Oh my, yeah, it's so, because I think it's like, and I'm not saying, all of my viewers go to shows and support. I'm sure a lot of them do, but I feel like just a lot of people just, on the weekends, late at night, they're scrolling, they're on the reels, they're doing all that stuff. And again, that's where they, they'll see stuff like that. And I think that's where for me personally, a lot of my likes and views will hit during the weekends. And again, on the weekdays they do, but then again, it just depends.
It also makes sense. Like like right before bed is like that your normal like, or people normally like scroll like just whatever on their phone. So that's probably when they're watching. Yes. That makes sense. Now that probably makes sense why they pop up like at their rounds.
Dude, here's the deal. Like my brother will send me like the most like ridiculous like dank memes that like well, I mean, he's got 2 kids. He's got a nearly 6-year-old. My niece and nephew. One's my niece. She's 14 months, 15 months. And then my nephew, he's nearly 6. So he's, that's full-time job for him there.
Yeah.
And so he's already up super early, and he'll send me like all these like Instagram reels and like Instagram stuff at like freaking like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And I'm just like messaging him and stuff, and he'll just be like, yeah, well, I got kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the only time I get really to myself to, look at, stupid shit, whatever. I'm going to send it to you. So yeah.
Yeah, it's the algorithm is very interesting. That's why like I try not to focus on it as much. Much as I just focus on like, as long as I put something out today is mostly like my thing. It's like as long as I put something out, like I'm good.
It's more beneficiary to yourself doing it that way, because again, thinking of the algorithm, thinking like, okay, I need to post at this time, it's stressful. It is, because it's just like, come on, man, I'm not getting any money. Like, come on, likes, views. Like, I want, obviously, but, it's just, you just kind of have to roll the dice in that, I feel like,
That's why I just started focusing on, like, as long as I figure out a way, that's my goal, is figuring out a way to just put something out every day. And again, like, I have backlogged so much stuff to put out, and every week, like, I get enough, like, out of a podcast to put out. I'm like, I shouldn't be stressing about that. I need to just put the responsibility of just like, let's just put something out.
You post because I see your posts. I'm like, all right, cool.
I'd say, I like it. I do okay, and then I don't. Yeah, so as long as but it's a schedule. Like once I get the schedule, then I'm like, oh, like right now, like I'm so happy of how ahead of schedule I am with like the podcast.
That's good for you, man.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, I'm doing well, so it gives me time to do other stuff. Because then like I've loved doing. We started doing like content at shows, like where we did a few like where we're just talking to like show goers and stuff, because I want something where people, again, I want to build that sense of community. So like when you get to participate in something that like we're putting out, like it makes people like feel like, because I did those song once, but then I did one that went crazy, which was I was like asking people for their hot takes, and they were just saying whatever.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I will say, whenever you did that, when I went to that show in Arlington in November, the Sorrow Eater and everything like that, and those other bands that were there, I can't remember. But anyways, you doing stuff like that, when I reposted it on my like page and stuff like that, it got more recognition, it got more just traction. But it makes sense because obviously when I post my videos and they see me like in my area, my, studio or whatever, they're like, okay, do another video, whatever, or this more popular band, he's doing this. Okay, I got you, whatever. But when they see me in a different element, again, for example, this podcast, because again, I knew that this was going to be really good for me and for you as well. But for me, because it's like Breakdown Central doesn't do anything like this. Like he's just very stationary. He does his thing. And again, I love doing that stuff, but to kind of grow out of, my hibernation area and doing a podcast or maybe going a couple shows, it's like, okay, he's getting more involved. Because that was one of my things for the new year was to do more stuff kind of like this, do shows. Again, I know it's not going to happen overnight, but still just kind of do this and do that just to kind of get more recognition and more love and more just, helping, artists like, hey, oh my gosh, he's here. Because again, not to toot my horn, but I remember whenever I went to that show, everyone knew who I was. It was the weirdest thing in the world. They're like, oh my gosh, you're internet legend. I'm like, shut up. No, I'm not. Like, don't make my head already bigger than it already is right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but again, like doing that, even my wife, like on her drive back, she's like, that's so cool. Cause I mean, the vocalist for Bloodletting came up to me and he was like, bro, you're here in the flesh. And I'm like, I've talked to you maybe a couple times via Instagram. I haven't talked to you very much, but this is so fucking cool. So, it feels good. It feels really good. And y'all doing that and helping, other art, interviewing like their hot takes or like what's the song that you really like right now and just to help. It's awesome.
I saw that idea and I really liked it because I want to push the idea and show people that like their music, people's music taste is so wide ranging. Yeah. Like it's great. And I think sometimes people are discouraged from going to like some sort of show because like, oh, this is what I listen to. But I'm like, look at the show we're at and then look at the range of stuff that people were talking about. I'm like, it's not all just like people don't like go like to a metal show and be like, oh, all I listen to is metal. Like, no, like they'll have like favorite songs ranging from all over the place. And it's so cool to see that. And I'm like, I want to show that off to people. I want to show that like, oh, look, dude, you're at a show. And
well, there's been times where y'all would be out, whatever, supporting, and it would be like, didn't y'all just do like a country artist not too long ago or something like that? Or
we do like we did like maybe like the Rot Swap that you're talking about.
Okay, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I'm like, hang on, these are not bands I'm familiar with. What's going on? And I look and I'm like, oh, it's mad respect. It's awesome. So it's really cool.
Yeah, we tried a wide range of like everything that we have. I mean, obviously we can't tackle everything, but Rot Swap was like which we're going to continue that idea at a different venue. But we basically started last year and we gathered up a bunch of singer-songwriters and had like I think it's called a writer's round that they normally do like but it started, I think, traditionally with like, just your normal singer-songwriters. Then we had like punk artists come out there and like play stuff acoustically. But again, like have this little round table where they would play songs individually. Then they would talk about their songs. And I'm like, dude, you see a lot of stuff. Like I remember one where we had Colton from Said the People, which is a more like indie band. And then we had an artist named Born Out of Love who does like this like alternative like R&B style stuff, doing stuff acously together on the same show.
Like,
I'm like,
again, that's awesome.
And then I think now they're like super good friends now. Like after that show, and I'm like, that's cool. Like you have like you have a lot more in common with this stuff. Like I just want to encourage people to have the mix. That's why Chill Sounds and Breakdown started. That's why it's called that, because like we were mixing like what different variety of music, like from like indie singer-songwriter stuff all the way up to like this really heavy stuff, and you can listen to them on the same bill. It's not crazy. Like I
love that, because again, you're giving yourself the opportunity to broaden, your horizons to just different artists and seeing their, an artist create their art, and it's just not strictly just like metalcore, rock, alternative. Like it's just like, that's cool. Like alternative, or like the you said the R&B.
Yeah,
that's super cool. Because I mean, for me personally, I'll listen to whatever.
Yeah,
I'm an open book when it comes to things like that. But
if it's good, like that's. I realized as I was getting like as I get older, my only like critique of like genre of music that I like, I'm like, is it good? Like, do I like it? That's it. You know what I mean? And I stopped being judgmental of like, if I don't like it, it's just not for me. Like that's what I consider. And I'm just like, I'm pretty sure if I just don't like a specific track and like other people are saying it's good, then I'm not gonna be like, that track is bad. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna be like, I guess that's not for me. I'm not the audience. And being fine with that. You know, I used to when I was younger, I used to be so critical. Like if something wasn't what I liked, then it was wrong. Like,
so I grew up with, I'm 30. So I grew up with the ultimate when YouTube really first started, like back in 2005. And then I got really involved in via MySpace and everything. And trust me, I went through rabbit holes of fucking MySpace. I did. And like, I went through and I found majority of the bands that I still listen to today. And then now I feel like there's really a good resurgence of deathcore because I mainly, if you watch my videos, it's mainly just ridiculous, retarded, heavy stuff. You know, but they're having a big resurgence in deathcore now where it's like, okay, how nitty gritty and just disgusting can we sound? Lower quality, the better. Again, not dissing their recording process, but you know, if you listen to like, let's say a random deathcore band, like nowadays, they want to, I think they want to make it sound like it did back in 2006, 2007 for like, bands like Carnifex, Whitechapel, Oceano, like, because me growing up, when I had a MySpace, when I was like 13, 14 years old, I would find just the most just crazy and ridiculous and heavy as shit bands. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they make these noises. They do these gutturals. They do this palm muting with the guitar. They do the double bass, the blast beats. That's where my obsession really kicked in. And so, but yeah, it was a whole thing, obviously, because that's what I would do is like, I would literally get home from school and I would be like, all right, well, they would do like their name and they'll be like new song up now or whatever. If you remember like MySpace and stuff like that. And so they'll do that and I'll click on it and then I'd listen to it and then they would get, the recognition of like, okay, hey, somebody randomly is listening to your song and they would appreciate that and everything. But it was a big hype, especially Asking Alexandria, like during those days and stuff.
What's crazy? I completely missed Asking Alexandria.
What?
Yeah. And people, the reaction you're having right now is the one that I always get. For some reason,
I was like obsessed with Danny.
Yeah. No,
I was, dude.
I completely missed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
His like lows and like the lyrics were absolutely just ridiculous. But the stand up and scream era, 2009, that was some good, and even today that album still holds up. Like,
people still bring that one up whenever like people whenever I was it because I played like in a metalcore band. Whenever I would bring up that and be like, oh, like Asking Alexandria, I'd always be like, I didn't know them. Like, but that was like for me, that was like based on what everybody else was telling me, like that was a standard for like if you said metalcore, people were like, oh, Asking Alexandria, like
with the ultimate like crabcore, like even like Attack,
yeah.
I mean, dude, when Someday Suddenly came out and specifically Stickly came out, and when I watched that music video. I think
Which
a lot
one?
of do what I know you're right. I know that's what I'm saying. It's funny you say that because no, it's the one with the chick in the fields and stuff.
Gotcha,
that one that was the one I remember seeing, and then that other one was on the bridge or something like that.
It was like on a bridge.
On a bridge.
It was so weird.
So 2008.
Yeah,
but I remember listening to it, and I told myself. And I'm sure other people were like, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't even know. Like, this is the weirdest thing ever. It's like techno breakdowns, auto this, whatever. But when I first listened to it, I instantly fell in love. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I freaking love it.
I had an amazing time with that album. Finding it, I think, it was Stickly that I heard, and I'm just like, what is this? Especially when it kicks into like the little techno breakdown. I'm like, this is fantastic. I went around because I remember like I think I went into like the Hot Topic to buy a CD, I brought it to school, and I gave it to everybody I knew. I was like, here's this, go listen to it. Then once they had it, then they copied it down. I was like, all right, pass it on to the next person. I was like sharing the Attack gospel. I love that. Even, I'm pretty sure to this day, if I listen to it, I always thought like the intro was cool into Stickly, that little like.
What is it, Hot Tops and something or whatever?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
It's like,
it's so like ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
I think it was just so fun.
Works, and it's fun. And then I feel like, and that was another thing I was going to say. Back to the deathcore movement for me. I know I keep going back to deathcore. I promise it's not what I'll listen to. But the reason why I go to that because it was so monumental for me personally. Because it was so like what is this? Like another band, obviously like Suicide Silence, like Mitch doing his like stomps and stuff like that. You're like, this guy's like 7 foot and he's like looks like the slender man. And he looks terrifying just doing his thing, But back then it was just fucking cool. But no, what I'm just going to say, sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. So it was so like, I wouldn't say hostile or animosity. That was another good band. Animosity. That was another really good band. But I wouldn't say it was like that, but it was very like, you know, the podcast that I listen to is Chris Garza from Suicide Silence. He promotes and he has a bunch of really, really good artists, and some of them are the ultimate resurgence of, you know, newer wave, metalcore, you know, whatever. But, you know, there was one where he was talking about, like, he said back then, he said it was like him and like Job for a Cowboy. And it was like, it was so like, you know, oh, I'm better than you. Like, it's nothing how it is nowadays. Like, where everyone's so, like, nice. I mean, of what I personally know, you probably know more about that than I do because you actually go out to shows. But shows that I've been out to, everyone's so loving, welcoming, like, communities, like, massive and everything like that. But apparently, according to, I mean, they would know because they did the nitty-gritty type of thing where, like, you know, oh, yeah, it was like, you know, oh, F you, dude. Like, my band's better. Like, it was very, like, supposedly it was like that back then. I don't know. I was too young. I was too young to go to shows or anything like that.
I remember a little, even in like the scene locally, like early on, when I got into it, that it felt like people would say it felt like that. I didn't ever run into too much of it, but there was this sort of like competitiveness that people were like needing to be better, or would like, if you got on a show, that meant they didn't get on a show. So, you know, stuff like that, you know, where it's, and nobody was really like, to a degree, like bands, I guess bands that you didn't really know, because you had friend bands or whatever, but bands that you didn't know normally didn't want you to do well, or like, or weren't really like invested in you doing well. Well, when I see the community now and I see just the scene now, mostly everybody is just like, if you get on like a dope show, people are like happy for you. If you like play an amazing set, if you come out with an amazing release,
you know?
Like, It makes it just a more positive experience for yourself too, and you waste so much. You waste less energy. Not having to worry about competing with somebody, and just focus on writing music for yourself. You know, and writing the music you want to write, and actually having a fun time, and being able to go out to shows and get along with the people you're playing with. You know, I think people just realize that's way more beneficial. Especially when we bring it back to like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So the networking idea is like, oh, if you make friends with all these people, it's going to be way easier to like, for you guys to help each other out in the future, touring together. If you need a place to stay when you're out or whatever, or you need connections with recording or anything, like they're all done like that. Like people, if we're friends, you're more likely to be like, yeah, I'll help you out with this, or I can point you in the right direction to do this. But yeah, I think there was a lot of more just competitiveness back in the day.
It was. I felt like it was more competitiveness because, again, like, I would say whenever I played shows, I mean, whenever we played shows, it was just, you know, the only time we ever did would be like, you know, in our hometown in Abilene, where, you know, we would play some like bar and there'd be like 10 people or something like that. But mind you, I was the oldest. I played drums. I was 17. I was the oldest and I was 17. Our vocalist was 13.
Oh, wow.
13. I shit you not. I'm dead serious. But he still surprisingly just sounded like he was already past puberty. It was just the weirdest thing in the world. I don't know. He could create the lows and the highs and everything. I was like, the hell are you doing? But anyways, but, you know, I mean, you know, we got on some not decent bills, but it was just like we all, you know, connections. Like, it was like his dad played in the band. All right, well, his dad's going to hook us up with the show on Saturday or whatever. And then, of course, like our parents would have to drive us to the show and everything and do that whole ordeal. But again, I wasn't too involved in like creating or like experiencing like the, you know, it was more of like a competition type. That's a good word for it, competition. I agree with that, because that podcast that I was watching with Chris, it was like, okay, well, Job for a Cowboy's doing more pig squills here than, you know, oh, they're being heavier at this part. Oh, bro, we can be heavier at this part. You know, one of those types of deals. I think nowadays it's like, it's so much more accepting. I think metal's at the best, specifically metal, because that's where I usually tend to grow towards. But I think specifically metal, it's at the best state. I think it's in the best state right now, because, you know, I think it's very, you know, you see interviews of so-and-so, or you hear somebody like, you know, hey, yeah, they had like a Lorna Shore shirt on or something. Oh, yeah, I really like Will Ramos from Lorna Shore. And you're like, what the hell, you're like a big pop star. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's really cool that that's starting to happen, or that's been happening, I think, for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's super cool. It's more mainstream.
I think more people are, it's coming out a little bit more mainstream, which is, it's just cool. You know what I mean?
It's cool, you know? Yeah, it's awesome.
Because, I think people who are like against like that movie, like metal becoming more mainstream, is just like your favorite types of metal are still going to be there. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
There's people are still going to be creating that music. But I like that it has got to a level where, they can reach a better commercial success as a band. Like, you want to be able to do it as a living. And if it gets popular, then it's a lot easier to do that, you know? That's why I can't be like, man, I do like, I get upset at stuff when I'm like, oh, damn, tickets for my favorite band are like way more expensive now, or stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, I'm like, that means they're more successful. You know what I mean? So maybe, you know, I got to see them like whatever levels, like I got to see them for what I could. And now they're doing way better. They're doing this or that. But, you know, it's all about just everybody out here is just trying to be successful and like be able to do what they, you know, play music for a living, or these musicians are just trying to make a life in music. So, you know, I think the encouragement of like, if they're getting a little more popular, that whole like, what do they used to call like the hipster attitude? I'm like, well, I knew them back like when this. I'm like, cool, like you'll always have that, but that shouldn't impede someone who like found them now and they're super big fans of them now. That you're not a better fan than them. You know what I mean? Like you're both like love that band. Yeah,
I love that because I mean, again, like, I think it's really cool that, like, you know, even nowadays, like, okay, just one I can think of, just prime example, like, you know, bands that'll blow up on like via like TikTok, or, you know, I'm trying to think of whatever, like, you know, obviously you have like bands like Sleep Token, Bad Omens. It's like, oh, Noah from Bad Omens, and like that one song, Just Pretend, bro. They've been a band for like 15 years, and then they didn't get any. Well, and I'm not dissing them, but I'm saying, like, I feel like they didn't get any recognition until like the whole, like, you know, once that their new album came out, and like, you know, that song started, you know, getting trendy, and, you know, the fans started, you know, the fangirling for Noah, like that. I think that was a whole. I think it's cool, to a certain extent, because it's like the obsession really starts to kick in. It's like that whole thing with Sleep Token.
Yeah,
did you hear about all that stuff with them
when they got doxxed?
I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like,
that made me angry. Yeah.
Yes. It's like, dude, just listen to the music and support it. Like, don't enjoy it. Don't get like obsessive with that stuff. Cause I'm just like, just enjoy the music, support them, you know, buy a shirt or 10 or whatever, go out to a show or whatever, if you can.
True.
Cause it's like, oh, we're going to sell at the stadium, or, you know, stuff like that. Cause I'm just like, you're getting like a birth certificate. You're getting all that stuff. That's pretty insane.
That's
pretty insane.
That's crazy. Like, to get to that point, just to do it, just to be like a dickhead. You know what I mean? Not for any particular purpose.
Don't
just like, just to like, oh, look, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, who gives a shit? I personally, like, I remember I found Sleep Token when they had like 2 EPs out. You know what I mean? And I remember like being like, this is, I don't know what this is, but it's scratching like the itch. And I'm like, I like this. I'm like, I like this a lot. And then since then, I was like, oh, like I really like this band. And now I've seen them grow to the popularity they're at now. I'm like, oh, like that's amazing for them. And literally when I was referencing the tickets, I'm like, oh, sometimes it's harder to get. That's who I was referencing, because like, but yes, honestly, like they did a cool thing this last time on this last tour. I don't know if you saw it. They did that deal with like a Ticketmaster or whatever, where you can resell your ticket, but you can only resell it through them, and you can only resell it for the price you paid. And I'm like, that's so fucking cool, because the idea behind I just forgot the word for it. What is it when you the resellers? I can't remember. Scalpers. Okay, that whole thing about like just reselling tickets for like $1,000, and people were trying to list them for that. I'm like, that sucks, dude. Like, to not be able to see like your favorite bands, because someone's like purposely trying to buy those.
My wife really, really likes Sleep Token. I like them, but not, I don't think to the level that she does. Gotcha. Obviously, if whatever she's listening to, I'm going to be listening to, and it'd be like constant, like, you know, Sleep Token, you know, they're obviously, you know, Take Me Back to Eden was probably my favorite album of the year last year. Huh?
I was like, it's right here.
Oh, nice. I don't even have that. I call myself a fan. Are you fucking kidding me? No, but like seriously, like stuff like that. Like that album, again, I remember we were kind of sit there listening to it. She's like, just listen to the Vessel's lyrics. Like, it is insane. It's so raw. It's so personal. It's so, you know, real life and everything. And because growing up listening to music, I never really listened to lyrics as a whole. I just listened to what guitar tone, drums, hey, this sounds cool. For example, like Stick Stickly we were talking about earlier, I was just like, okay, it's got breakdowns.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, it's so cool. It's got breakdowns. But the older I've gotten, the more I have appreciated like the craft and the artist part of it and creating it, because again, I'm learning that, hey, it is a process. But for example, like Sleep Token, I was with them since the very beginning. And again, like what you said, it's really cool to see their progression. And then all of a sudden they like blow the hell up with their visualizer, with the jazzy part in that song, whatever song is that?
The Offering.
No, not the Offering. The
Summoning.
Summoning. Yeah. Oh yeah. When that came out and I heard that part, I was like, and then it blew up on TikTok and everything. And I was just like, okay, it's like, it's trendy. This is how it is. We're in our society now and everything. I was like, that's really fucking cool. But I remember we tried to get a show in Dallas, not the tour now, but the one before. And again, I saw the date. I was looking at our schedules, back to scheduling. And I was like, okay. I was like, fuck it. We can make it work. We can do it. We can do it. And so, but we got like on a waiting list and we tried to do it. And they were like that. They were sold out. And I'm like,
we got lucky.
Insane.
Yeah.
So have you seen them live?
Yeah. Twice now.
Nah.
Yeah.
Are they just as good live as the album, I'm assuming?
They're amazing.
That's
like
awesome.
This past time I saw them was their actual, because like when I saw them first, I saw them open for Issues, like their last tour before that whole.
Oh, just recently?
No. Not that. I did go to that, but the last tour with Tyler before whatever happened.
Issues. I haven't heard that name.
Yeah, but they opened for them. Like they were coming over to open, and I went. And I'm like, this is amazing. But seeing them at that most recent show, I'm like, oh, this is their actual show. So it was two bands. Like so, it was just their opener and them. And it was amazing. I remember I took out my phone for like a second to I was going to record something. Then I'm just like, you know what? I put it back in my pocket. And I'm like, I'm just going to experience this. And it was like.
Take in.
Yeah. I was like, it's amazing. I was like, and for me, again, that's like my favorite band. So I'm like, I just need to have this moment.
Are they your favorite band?
They're my favorite band. Since I found them back in the day, I'm like, that's
my wife's going to watch this and she's going to be like, I knew I liked that guy.
Yeah.
I knew I liked that guy because again, nothing. I do really, really like them, but for me personally, there are other bands that I personally listen to. Who are you listening to right now?
Right now.
Who are you listening to today, for example? So I don't mean to turn it around or anything.
No.
I just thought I'd ask you.
Here, I'll tell you right now.
Look it up.
I'll look it up. Who was I playing most recently? Here they are.
Because I will tell you mine, and you're going to be like, that's... Or maybe top 3 bands or something.
Top 3 bands? Lately, I've been listening to a lot of The Home Team, which is The Home Team is amazing.
Again, my wife's going to listen to this. She is obsessed with The Home Team. Okay.
The Home Team. I was re-listening to Too Close to Touch. R.I.P. Keaton.
Okay, I haven't listened. I've heard the name.
It's super good.
Okay, it's super good.
It's like post-hardcore. And then I finally took a listen to an artist called Four Bats that they're from Dallas, I think. But they've literally just blown up. It's just it's like an R&B artist. It has 2 tracks out. It's crazy because
you need
when
to
I first saw the video,
send it to me, okay, or whenever.
Yeah.
I got you.
But I remember I first saw a video for him. He's wearing what do they call it? A ski mask or a shiesty mask. Yeah. And he's coming up to the mic and he just sings so beautifully. And I'm like, I love this so much.
That's
and he's released 2 songs and they're at...
On Spotify? What are they at right now?
Spotify, the top one is at 67 million streams. And then the other one's at 19 million streams. It's
good for them. That's
absolutely
awesome.
Insane.
That's cool.
But that was just something I just happened to find or whatever. But mostly on rotation is a lot of The Home Team and Sleep Token. Sleep Token.
You know who else is a really good band? Sleep Theory.
Sleep Theory is sick.
They're pretty good. They're on tour with Beartooth right now.
Yeah.
And again, mucho respect for Caleb because obviously I got to go back to Attack. And I'm just my obsession with Attack back in that day and stuff. And then whenever he went from him. But anyways, I think it's super cool that he has a really successful band with.
You know who's another band who slept on? Dayseeker. Which is great. I think they just now started getting a lot more.
What's his name? What's the vocalist's name?
Rory.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
He's so good. Again, that's another obsession. You really get along with my wife. I'm telling you, she loves it. There's some specific songs she'll always go to. And I'm yeah, that's Roy for sure. You can tell.
I have a I used to do this a lot more, but I'm like, if you sound the same live that you do on like the album or better, like I'm obsessed. And like Rory's one that I've seen. Actually, when we played in a band, we got to open for Dayseeker like twice. Yeah, so early on.
Awesome.
And then the last show that I saw them at, we went to Lubbock to Jake's Spec Room to see the tour was Moxie the Band. Have you heard?
Yes,
Moxie?
I've heard.
Yeah.
Yes,
Moxie
I've heard Moxie.
Great.
Yes, yeah.
We went for Moxie the Band. And then it was Silent Planet and Dayseeker. I'm like, this lineup is fucking great. Like, it's exactly like every
Silent Planet. Oh, yeah. Dude, that's so. I love their new album. Their new album's so
Super
good. Yes, it's so good. I love it. It's just it's so different, and I love his vocals. His vocals are so good. I love his vocals. They're really, really good. I don't listen to him all the time, but I will say who I'm listening to right now.
Go for it.
Is that Electric Callboy.
Electric Callboy is so fucking fun, though.
They're so awesome.
And the thing is, like, I don't know how we got on this. We were sitting in the living room and we were watching just music videos, and someone pulled up Electric Callboy, and we like, after we saw the first one, we're like, play every fucking one of these. And we're like, the thing is, the video, sure, it's fun and everything. The music is so fucking good.
It's so talented. They're so talented. Good. But see, the thing is that what's crazy is that, again, for me personally, they were a band that started back when I was in high school. Never knew it. I'm like, wow, they've been
around that long. I didn't know how long they've been around.
Yes, they have. I'm old as fuck. I know. I'm just kidding.
I'm older than you. So,
but it's like one of those types of deals where I saw that. I'm like, okay, they didn't get hardly any recognition until Hypa back in 2020, because then it just blew back to reactions in the community and stuff. Everyone and their mother was doing reactions, and I was like, who is this? And so is this reaction channel I was watching, and I was like, the hell? And I started doing my Wikipedia research, networking and stuff. And I'm like, they were releasing stuff in like 2010, 2009. I was like, again, it's just crazy to see. You think that like a band like that would blow up overnight or something like that. But again, it's just, I like 10 years later, we're finally starting to get some recognition, grind and stuff,
Yeah.
It's big, man.
I think it's just the overnight success is honestly super rare.
Yeah.
Extremely rare.
Yes.
And people assume a lot of the stuff that they find is like an overnight success, and I'm like, you have no idea how long these people have been grinding, working and playing. Like that's what I thought when I first discovered the home team. I'm like, they must have just came out of nowhere. And then I remember seeing a show and be like, they're like, yeah, we've been doing this for a while. Like the only thing is we are independent like this whole time. So everything is on our own. And I'm like, I love that.
I love that so much, man. But yeah, for example, that's another band is because like I started listening to them. And I was like, okay. And I started doing the research, and I'm like, well, fuck, they've kind of been around for a while now.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that they're like brand new, or they've been around for like 2 or 3 years or something, which is not very long, but so yeah.
Yeah, I stopped having that like idea or notion that I'm like, oh, this person just blew up overnight or this and that. I'm like, no, like most of these people, like I've been working for the most part for quite a while.
I said Electric Callboy. I'll go through my list.
Go for it.
Deaf Heaven. You know who I'm talking about? So they have the newer album. They have an album that came out in 2021, and it's called Infinite Granite. It's more of like kind of indie posty kind of type stuff.
Okay.
I will sing you Deaf Heaven.
Heaven sounds mild.
Deaf Heaven, I think that's how you say it. And then Creed.
I
mean,
nice.
Like for real, with arms wide open. Like, I mean, you can't. Like, I grew up listening to Creed, and like back to a resurgence for the. Obviously we're in the Fort Worth area, Texas Rangers. It's like, like what? I don't know. I love
performance in the Cowboys. You mean that jersey? Yeah, and that's what I like. I like the wide range of what people were like currently listening. And again, like I'll jump through whatever. Like I have a lot of moments where I'm just like listening to something heavy, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, you know who my favorite like Spanish singer is? Like, and I'll go listen to that, and it's just so completely cool. A vibe, and I'm like, oh, this is great.
I think stuff like that's really important because you don't get hooked on just one genre. Obviously, since if you're jump into another genre, you don't get like burned out on something, and you don't listen to it for a couple of days. Now, for me personally, I will listen to something, and I can listen to it every day. But it's good to find like a Texas country artist, because I love country just as much as I love rock and roll. I can listen to 80s, I'll listen to 90s. I've been on a whole like grunge, Nirvana, Alice in Chains. I've been listening to a lot. Another band I've really been listening to is Chevelle. Chevelle fucks, dude. I love me. Yeah,
I would love to see Chevelle live.
They're so good.
Yeah.
Like Wonder What's Next, when it came out in the early 2000s, I remember I had after that album was released, I had a live, I think it was just called Live from the Road. I listened to it constantly.
Wow.
It's, just stuff like that. It's just, it sticks in your head. It sticks in your, process of listening to music and stuff. And you're just like, yeah, I remember this. And like, you go back to it after all the years, kind of like Creed. Like I didn't start listening to Creed again until just like probably, before the whole Texas Rangers thing. But like I'd listen to it and I'm like, man, it's like the song "What If" off of Human Clay that came out like in 1999. It's heavy. Like the tone on that's so heavy, but it's just it's cool that you find stuff like that. That happens to me. I don't know if it happens to you.
Stuff
but
like I love going back and seeing songs. I like we'll have random thoughts of the day. I was like, I remember when I was obsessed with this one song. Like
it was just one song. Yeah,
literally right now. Like what I'm thinking, it was a band called Evans Blue.
Oh,
and the song's called Beg.
Yes,
I remember I remember that one song.
Yes.
I'm like, I played that over and over again. Yeah. I don't know, and I don't know why that's the one that always comes to mind because I will like. Literally right now, I'm like thinking about. I'm like, if I played that right now, it would still hit just the same. But I've had so many, like, because I remember like when I grew up, like my introduction into first like, I guess alternative. The friend that I used to hang out with listened to a lot of like hip hop. I guess in order was like my mom Spanish music, so it was always like traditional stuff with her. And then like as I grew up and had friends, like he was super into hip hop, so that's what I got into. So I got into like hip hop. And I remember the first introduction to anything, I guess in general, rock music, we're gonna go like that, was, or anything out of the norm, was my cousin showing me Linkin Park, the Hybrid Theory album. And I remember being like, this is
gold album.
Great.
I mean, it's one of the best albums of all time.
He introduced me to that and Limp Bizkit. So to me, it was like, this was like that new metal era, which I was coming out of hip hop. So I'm like, this makes sense to me. You know what I mean? They're adding a little like heavy elements, but there's still like some hip hop elements to it. So I'm like, oh, I like this a lot. And then 100%. and then I grew up with like, I consider it like just like the alternative radio station like era, because I like would just like anything that was popping up, that's what I was listening to. Like I remember bands like Finger 11 and like
Audio Slave was another big one too.
Yeah. And listening to that, and then to jump further away from like those norms was we were talking earlier when you pointed out the Day to Remember record. That was the one that got me, because I had a friend who was like, I'm gonna get you into heavy music, but he was showing me stuff like Job for a Cowboy, and I think Suicide Silence at the time, and I'm just like, this just ain't for me right now. Like it was a hard transition
August
to make.
Red. I'll add August Burns Red in there too.
That one,
Whenever like when Messengers came out, I was like,
that was a classic
fucking
album.
China, dude.
But he showed me. Yeah. I remember he showed me. He's like, "Well, try this band," and it was A Day to Remember. And the thing that got me was the "Since You've Been Gone" cover that he did, because I love Kelly Clarkson.
Again, yes, who doesn't?
Yeah.
I mean, in a metal band, covering such a popular pop song back then. I mean, it's still so popular, but. Who doesn't want to listen to that?
It just hit, and then I would listen to, and then I listened to that album, and I'm like, oh, it had some songs that are a little just like heavier than the others, and I'm like, so it had the link for me to be like, oh, they're still singing in this, but then there were songs I'm like, there's no singing in this, and I'm like, and I still kind of like them, and then it was like, oh, okay, then it was like Devil Wears Prada, then I started just like breaking out, like, oh, okay, I can listen to more heavy and heavier stuff. You know what I mean?
The other day I was listening to with Roots Above and Branches Below, that area, back to Ask Alexandria, the Joey Sturgis whole like thing and recording and stuff was, I mean, he was the GOAT. Like he was the guy. Like I think of every band that was around that era in that MySpace area, they were just like, hey, we got to go to Joey Sturgis and record this album, because everything, like even today, it sounds so fucking good.
I mean, this was years ago now where I heard like his studio setup.
Yes.
And it was just insane.
I know.
He's like, yeah, he'll like edit tracks live, like while you're recording them. He's just like, oh, hold on. Like,
but see,
done. I'm like, bro.
So another thing is that, so back to kind of music and everything, like obviously music, duh. So one thing I will say is that I grew up really big into pop punk. Really like me some pop punk. Obviously, A Day to Remember, heavier pop punk. They still had, when Homesick came out, it changed the entire game. And then even For Those Have a Heart is a phenomenal album as well. But, I really got into like Man Overboard, Story So Far. I got into that whole like when Pure Noise Records really were like kind of.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But see, what was really cool is that with like the Story So Far, I had a buddy of mine. He's like, there's this guy named Parker does cleans for this pop punk band, and I was like, pop punk, it's got cleans. Because I was really kind of weird about that when I first started listening to more extreme music. But when I listened to it, I was like, okay, there are some heavier parts. But what's really interesting for their debut album, I think it's their debut album, Under Soil and Dirt, because I saw them live at the Trees in Dallas 10-12 years ago. It was whenever their second album came out. But anyways, we went. It sounded so good. But the whole pop punk thing, that was a big thing for me because it was, it kind of got me introduced into, obviously kind of do that, and then I kind of get into some heavier music and stuff like that. So, but
yeah, the just trajectory of it, because I realized like that band I think I contribute like my, I guess, path of music, like where I ended up going and starting a band in. Linkin Park first, and then A Day to Remember like got me fully into like that to try something like that, and then being able to like play music and try to, because I remember when I joined that first band, like I joined because I just wanted to sing. I couldn't scream. I was like, I will learn how to do it. Yeah, and then did it horribly for years, until I figured it out.
But you did it. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was just about doing it, and then it was doing it with a group of friends, so they put up with me until like we've all figured it out together. So it was just fun, and then finally being introduced to a scene where you start seeing even more like branch out, and then you start realizing like, oh, there's a niche genre for everything. Like everything. I had a band in here called Pulse, and they consider their genre voodoo slam. That's what they said. And I'm like, what does that mean?
I'll check them out.
You know what I mean? I was like, what is that? And they're like talking about it. I'm like,
voodoo slam.
Yep.
The fuck is that?
Yeah. It's like influence. It's like, slam music influenced by a lot of like the voodoo comes from like the influence of like these New Orleans bands. It was like, I think it was like I Hate God and stuff like that.
Okay.
So they're like, oh, because I was like, I've never heard that before. Like explain to me, and that's kind of what they were hitting at. But I'm like, that's cool. Like I love that in this day and age, you can write whatever the fuck you want to write. Like, you can go and dive into everything. Yeah,
you can do. I mean, honestly, it's just how our technology and just our society now, and especially back to like my YouTube stuff. I mean, again, I saw other people doing it, and I'm like, I can do it.
Yeah,
I can do something like that. And again, it's just really neat how it's so like it's so freeing now, and everything just is internet.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You can figure out how to do anything. Like if you have an internet connection, like or you have you can log on to YouTube and figure out like, oh, what does this do? Okay, someone's there explaining it exactly how to do it. I just told you we just got a new washer and dryer. That's how I'm going to figure out how to get all that started. Man. I'm going to YouTube it, But that's again how this started. Like I didn't know how to do any of what I do now. It was all just like, let's figure it out.
Have fun with it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like it's if you want to do it, you're gonna do it with whatever you have available. It's the one. I don't know when I had a realization, but I was talking to somebody and they were trying to tell me what they were passionate about, but they were like explaining it in a way where like, oh, I might do this, but they wanted recognition for what they were planning to do before they were doing it.
Yeah.
And it just made me think, I'm like, I think how you figure it out is like, what are you spending your time on and money or whatever, and no one's telling you to do it. It's not your job, but you enjoy doing it and you spend countless hours doing it. Like, and I'm like, oh, that's how I know, like, I'm doing what I love. You know what I mean? I would do this forever because I have fun with this. Like, that's why I tell everybody, like, I go, to me, like, the great part of this is, like, I get to have these talks. So, like, people want to come over here and we have, like, amazing talk. I get to learn. I get a new perspective. I get more, like, I connect with more people. Again, the community gets bigger.
It gets bigger.
And I think it only just, like...
It ain't going to get smaller.
No.
Just think about it. It's not going to get any smaller. It's just all you can do from there is, again... I really respect what you do is because, again, you get, you'll get a band in here, you'll get a solo artist in here, or you get, a guy that does YouTube, and stuff, and you kind of get their perspective and you figure out, okay, this is what they do. And again, it's just getting more involved and figuring out, okay, this is kind of pick at their brain and be like, and then just, it's cool. It's cool.
That's fun. The same thing with you do. I'm so like, I'm like super excited when I found you and found you that you were like a person like, oh, now that I I don't even know how long it took, but I'm like, oh, I met them immediately. Like after like finding you, I'm like, that's super cool. And just being able to see like the stuff that you put out, I'm like, this is,
dude, I'm an idiot sometimes. I'm not gonna lie.
And we all are, man, sometimes. But you need it. You need a little bit of
some entertainment and stuff. And again, like I don't want to mainly just be like an entertainer type guy. But I mean, again, that's where a lot of, you know, when people, they watch my stuff and they start seeing what I'm doing and everything. And it's like, you know, okay, yeah, he's getting down and, you know, enjoying the music and everything like that. And it's really cool because, again, it's just more of the day is, or the end of the day, I'm just listening to music. I'm listening to music. I'm enjoying the music. I'm enjoying the music that I'm listening to. I'm helping the artist just, you know, get really excited and, you know, help them, you know, or show a family member or show a bandmate and just be like, hey, here's this guy listening to this song, this new release of ours, or listening to, like, there's sometimes I'd like do a reaction and I'll look at the song and it was released like 5 years ago, but that's the only song they've really put out. And they'll look and they'll be like, hey, because we're still in the works, we're in the studio, whatever, but we released a song like 5 years ago. Would you be willing to do a reaction? Fuck yeah, I'll do it. Like, I don't mind doing that again. But the thing is with reaction, back to the reaction channel, doing the algorithm, figuring out, you know, what everybody, not doing what everybody else is doing, but you kind of figure, I'm like, okay, they're getting a lot of new music. They're getting a lot of newer bands that are coming out and just kind of seeing like the hype and everything like that. And again, just, I always say networking, everything's on your phone, computer, tablet, whatever. You can find anything. Yeah, I will say, because like, you know, with like, you'll find whatever band, and it's like you'll start scrolling and you'll see another band that either sounds kind of similar or somebody different or a show or something. Because a lot of the times when I find artists, it'll be like a show, like they'll be on a bill or something, and it's like, oh, they got a cool looking logo, or they seem heavy as AF, you know, I'm going to check them out and I'll listen to a snippet of it, or if it's not a band messaging me or whatever, but I'll listen to it and I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'll just put them on the channel and see how it works. Yeah. And again, majority of the time, I say majority of the time, all the time, it works out perfectly. I just love doing it, you know.
That's amazing. That's awesome. What do you think you have planned for like the future of like Breakdown Central?
I don't fucking know.
Keep doing it. just keep doing it.
Keep grinding. Keep just showing my love of music. I really don't have any big plans. I think it'd be really cool to do like the live streaming. I've never done that before. I've tried to do it, but I need better equipment, and that's, you know, more money and stuff. But I think just more the whole thing. It's a nice gateway, nice hobby for me to just do. I mean, again, do I consider it a job? No. Side hustle? Yes, I do, because I mean, I do get some income from YouTube and everything like that. But again, it's like not my full-time job. Absolutely not. But doing it as like kind of like for me to just kind of get away for a couple hours, or, you know, the wife's doing something. Okay, I'm going to go in my little man cave and, you know, press record and start listening to, you know, brutal breakdowns or pig squealing or, you know, cleans or whatever. Then I'm 100% game with that, because again, I think it's just, I get so excited and that anticipation builds. Like let's say if I never would, I'll probably do in the future, probably like take off, or, you know, take, you know, a week off or something like that, whatever the case might be, or life in general, doing stuff like that. But I guarantee you, when that time comes, and be like, all right, let's fucking record. Like, let's do it. Because again, it's so as in the future, probably just some more involvement with the community. Hence, what we're doing right now is like phenomenal, and I was so excited to come here. And then, you know, maybe kind of get some better equipment, as in like an actual like camera itself, like, you know, a laptop that, you know, I'm able to actually do like, you know, the whole live stream and stuff like that. So if you have any recommendations, just hit me up, because I was actually I was talking kind of the community. I was talking to Cody from Instinct. Okay. So I was talking to him. He kind of hit me up, you know, you need a Blue Yeti for your microphone. You need this, that, and the other. And he was like super sweet. And he actually messaged me the other day because he was asking me, I guess they're on a show that's coming up or something. I can't remember. But he was like, hey, how was that going? And I told him, I said, it's going. I said, I'll get to it eventually. I just don't know when. I just got to save up for it. Because he was asking me, he's like, all right, what's your budget? And I told him, and I said, well, I don't want to spend more than like $1,000, but, you know, something in that under that, and he's like, okay, and he was so sweet. He like messaged me. He's like, you need to get this, this, and this, and one of those types of deals.
Yeah.
So again, back to what you know, who you know, in meeting him because he was at that show.
Yeah.
At shout out to Cody. But again, doing that and talking to him and via Messenger and everything like that, just be like, hey, it's like my videos are good. They could be a little bit better as in that type of, kind of realm and stuff. So, but as of right now, I'm cool with what I'm doing and people are seeming to, fuck with it. So,
yeah, I mean, you've been definitely gaining a following and like,
it's a grind. You understand, it's a grind.
Yeah. We're still, I'm still trying to, sometimes I think about like, oh, how do I figure out how to do this? And then I'm just go back to like, you know what? I want to keep it as something that I enjoy doing. And That's so important. I have so much faith in this that I'm like, as long as I keep doing it and keep having fun, it'll eventually find the audience. Like, and I'm like, I'm so 100% because of like everybody that's on here that comes on here. I'm like, every one of those, like, either is already like on their way to being big or has the potential to do that. So one of those first like podcast interviews they're going to look up will be this one. You know what I mean? So I'm not worried about that. Like, I just want to keep doing it.
Keep doing what you're doing. And I promise you eventually something's going to pay off. Because again, that's what I always say. And then that's when I just like with my shit, it's like, okay, I'll do like a video. It won't do as good as this other video or this time or this day or whatever. But as long as I'm enjoying doing it, it's all that matters.
Yeah.
It's more for a personal, perspective, passionate side of things where it's like, okay, people are obviously still interested in watching me be a bloomin' idiot and just watching me do this. And it's like, okay, all right. And then just kind of just building off of that and just doing it. Because again, there for a little bit, I kind of had to cut back with my posting because it was a lot. But I kind of go through my spurts where it's not like I won't go like a week without posting, but there will be like a day I won't post. Like for example, I haven't posted today, but tomorrow, best believe I'm posting tomorrow. Yeah. So it's, because it's like I'll have like a certain band back to the whole scheduling and getting everything scheduled. So, but
yeah, keeping it fun, keep enjoying what you're doing. It's the whole point. Like it's really the whole point of like doing it. Like if not, like you're turning, and that's what I've always been super careful. Like I don't want to turn in something that I've decided is a passion of mine into something that it's just a job where I'm worried about like how am I blah blah. Like I rather just worry about
getting
doing
burned
this.
Out. That's another thing.
And that's how it happens because again you start focusing on the wrong things, and I'm just like, nope, I'm just gonna focus on it being fun. Again, like someone asked me the other day, they were like, oh, like he's like, I'm putting out an EP at the end of the year. Like, how, like who do I go through to who decides who's on the show? And I'm like, it's just me, bud. Like, you can come on here. And he's like, I was like, when's the album, the EP? He's like, oh, it comes out, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sure. Like, let me know. We'll get you on.
And you give, like, for, like, this whole podcast, it's a good, fuck, what am I trying to say? It's a good, just a not networking, but it's a good source. This is a good, podcasts are very common nowadays, but it's a really good source to have to help whoever get out. It's like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to check out their music. Kind of like that band you were talking about. I saw, obviously, you'll tag them and I'll see it. And now that you said Voodoo Slam, I'm like, very interested. Yeah. Now I got to check his.
Yeah. No, there's a bunch. I love it. And I get to learn so much. And and that's one thing like that I've had to suspend here is suspend the fear of being curious.
Yes.
So I used to be like, I need to, if someone brings up because this happens a lot. People bring up a band. I had a band in here, Turf Burner, brought up like 35 bands that I had no idea who any of them were.
I love it.
And I'm like,
that's so cool.
And being like, okay, cool. That's cool that I don't know. Like, look how much music I don't know. Like that's just out there, and being okay and be like, oh, like what is that? Or what are you talking about? But it's just been super fun. And like I said, I think you make the same point in like your videos to be like enjoyable, like fun. You're just like out there genuinely having like a fun time listening to music. Yes. Like your passion for music comes through, and I love that.
And it's so
yourself.
Funny whenever we were at that show, my wife was there and everything, and I'd be talking to whoever, and they're like, oh, like another one is the I think his name's Cody as well. Shout out to the drummer for Sky Boss.
Okay.
So I was talking to him, and him and his girlfriend or wife or whatever was there. We were all talking and stuff, and my wife, she was just like, "Well, I'm not gonna lie, that's how he 100% real. That's how he listens to music. I mean, if I listen to something, which majority of the times I'll listen to something I'm gonna like no matter what, but like I'll listen to something, and if it really gets me moving or just gets me like super super excited." I'm going to react that way. And again, at the end of the day, I'm just listening to the music, and I'll listen to it, and I'm like, and then stuff will start coming out. I'll start doing things with my body and everything. And a lot of people, they're just like, bro, like, where did the leg come from? Why do you do that with your leg? I don't fucking know.
You have like your leg.
That's what I'm saying. Like, again, why have I done that? I have no earthly idea, but I think it was just a ball of emotions that got in my tiny brain of mine. And I'm just like, I gotta do something, and I'm just gonna pick up my leg, and I'm just gonna do that. And yeah, it's just more. The whole thing is like, I don't fucking know. Like, I really don't know. but it has stuck. People have received it like, okay, that's cool. That's kind of his thing. He likes doing that, you know. Because like, I'll have some bands, they'll message me, and they're just like, you know, did we deserve the leg or something like that? And like, did we get you hyped up on this? And I'm like, you're like, what? You know? And so, but anyways, yeah, because I've had to kind of, when it comes to things like that, and especially like moshing in my room and like kicking the chair and doing all that stuff, again, I would say all the time I do get that stoked about music and whatever I'm listening to. But at the same time, I have told myself I kind of have to cut back a little bit in doing that because of the fact that you could hurt yourself and, you know, your cautious stage comes out. I'm like, I'm freaking 30 years old and I don't need, because again, it's like I'd hit my finger a certain way and I'd like jam it or, you know, cut myself or something. And then I'd get done in like my man cave and my wife would be cooking dinner or something. And I'm like I'm like breathing like super hard. She's like, was it really that good? And I was like, yeah, it was really good. I really got into it. And she's like, I can tell, you know? So again, it's fun. And it's just, you know, and again, back to kind of watching my old videos and just how freaking like cringy like some of the stuff has gotten. I'm like, people seem to like it because I wasn't even doing like, I didn't have like the actual like music video. Like I didn't have like a picture on picture type deal. I just had it just me listening to it. That's how I first started. And then I started kind of getting more enthralled in like the editing of my phone and like iMovie and stuff. And so like, you know, doing that and figuring that out, I'm like, oh man, I'm moving up. Hell yeah. But again, it's just, it's something that's stuck and it's worked for me. Yeah. So again, I mean, I say, for me personally, if anybody's out there is trying to like do reaction, again, just do it on your phone. I do it on iMovie. I do that. And there's an app that I use that I connect my phone to like a mic. So I do that. And so it's called, I think it's called like everything's iPhone. It's like iMont or something like that. Again, it's just been a program I've used and it's worked. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but back to what you're saying, like the future, probably that for a while. And then, you know, just maybe some more stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? Like more upgrade and stuff like that. So, but anyways.
So, I'm excited for what's to come and what you're going to keep doing. Again, like I honestly appreciate everything you do. It's amazing.
Thank you so much.
I love being able to see that and see someone again spreading that type of like energy out into the community, into the world. It's just fantastic.
Everyone says they love my energy, and it's just, you know, that's just my energy for my music that I have listened to growing up has always been that way. Like, because I mean, it's like, Yates, calm down. Like back to again, like Ask Alexandria, like back in high school, they're like, Yates, like, what do you think about this part? I could listen to it, and I'm like I just like get into it, and like the teacher, we'd be like in class or something, and the teacher would be like, she's like, yo, quiet down back there or something. So again, I mean, it's kind of goes back to that and everything, and I've just always had a really high energy, you know, bundle of joy, like a little kid at a candy store. It's like they get, you know, too much sugar or like too much caffeine or something. And I just get really, really excited about it or whatever. And that's just how I am when it comes to listening to, you know, these bands that, you know, I get featured on the channel and everything. So it's fun.
That's awesome. Man. Well, Yates, I appreciate you stopping by today. Honestly, I can't thank you enough for stopping by. And you are welcome back anytime you want. Anytime you want to do anything. If you have any other ideas that you want some help with and stuff, I'm glad to help. Please,
absolutely, awesome. For sure. Because again, back to kind of getting more involved in everything. Because again, got your number and everything like that. Just one of those types of deals. Like if something ever does come up or whatever, if I have a question about anything, I will for sure get a hold of you. Mine's open
for sure.
I love it.
But yeah, thank you. This has been episode 99 with Yates, creator of Breakdown Central. Go follow. It's Breakdown Central on everything. On Instagram, it's
Well, on Instagram, there's a 3. I had a 3
Central,
on there,
right?
And then I have you go on there, and then I have like a link tree as well, which I totally misspelled. I misspelled it, and I'm like, fuck, I can't change it back. But then Facebook and Instagram, it's all the same.
Cool.
So,
awesome. Well, thank you for stopping by. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next time.
Woohoo!
Sounds and breakdowns. Better lose your man. We should run away together while we still can.